So it's day 76, and I didn't really play today, and I'm not planning on playing anymore, or even trying to practice right now. But I did do a lot of music making today because I was a chamber coach, a super official chamber coach, at a chamber music workshop. The workshop idea in general is normally you will send in your application, say what you play, what level you play at, and some pieces that you would like to work on. Or you could just say, I play violin and I'm, I don't know, an amateur or something, or I'm kind of a good amateur, I'm a great amateur, or I am a very confident amateur, I'm a beginner, I'm a professional. You give them some sort of idea of your level, things that you have worked on and played in the past. And the powers that be will pick and choose the applicants and throw them in a group together and give them a piece. And you get your piece assignment probably a month and a half, 2 months before the workshop date. And so you get time to prepare your part, but you are likely paired with people from other places. People from this workshop come from all over Southern California. So you may not always be able to get together with your chamber group before the actual workshop day. And that's why we work from basically 9 to 3. And we spend all day, getting together, playing the piece for the first time, and working on it with a coach. And then we break for lunch and we come back and we work some more. And then at the end of the day, we all play for each other. We sit down in this hall and everybody plays, and everybody knows that everybody else has only been working on it for a day. And it may not be the most shining, special, great performance you've ever given, but it's just fun to work that way, to get an outside opinion, to be coached on things, and you can take those ideas and apply them to other pieces as well. But I was not one of those coaches. I was hired specifically to coach the youth symphony chamber groups that were invited to play. And that meant instead of my people coming together for the first time this morning, and I work with the same group all day, or most of the coaches have 2 chamber groups, and so they split their time between the 2 groups. I had 2 groups, but I worked with one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So my morning group, they were age probably 12 to 14, and they played the first movement of Eine kleine Nachtmusik, and they were playing it pretty well when they came in, but I gave them a few bowing suggestions and phrasing suggestions and just stylistic little things, and they just soaked it right up. And even though some of those things may not have actually come across in their performance this afternoon, they wrote everything down. Almost everything I said, they wrote it in their music somewhere. And I know that they're going to take that to their regular chamber coach, and I hope they'll continue working on those ideas, and I'll be able to see them do a really phenomenal performance in May at the final concert. Unfortunately, I'm not normally a chamber coach with the Youth Symphony. It is the group that I work with, but the coaching jobs were given to other assistants. Even though I would love to be a coach, I don't think we have enough demand for it right now. So maybe the kids are going to pull for me because my afternoon group, the violinist in that group is the son of the founder and director of the organization, the Youth Symphony organization. And I've known him for a year now in the context of the Youth Symphony, and I always thought that he was just kind of contrary on purpose. Like, that's just who he was. He was just a contrary little boy and doesn't really like to do what you're suggesting just because you suggested it. You know, he wants to come to that decision all on his own, and he's going to do the exact opposite of what you said because you told him to do something. And but he was actually incredibly receptive to me today, and he seemed to be like, he would look over to me for like approval for some things, to see if he did it the way that I wanted him to, and it was really sweet. And when we were leaving, going down to the performance, all three of the kids, they were doing the Beethoven Piano Trio Opus 11, first movement. It's typically a clarinet trio, clarinet, cello, and piano. But what are you eating? Don't eat things. Sorry, Baron's being bad. Come here, you. Since we are a youth symphony, a strings youth symphony, we don't have any clarinet players, and luckily the piece is already transposed for violin, cello, and piano, so we had that going for us. Anyway, all three of them, they looked at me and they said, "Can you be our chamber coach next year? Like, can you be our coach all the time?" And I said, "Talk to your mom about it. Like, tell the director, tell her that you really liked me and that she should hire me as a chamber coach all the time." And maybe the kids will talk to people about it, talk to their parents about it. Maybe their parents will talk to the founder and say, "Hey, the kids really enjoyed working with her, so maybe you should hire her as a coach all the time because they really just enjoyed it." And I'd love being able to work with them every week so I can build on what I've already started. But unfortunately, that's not the case right now. And yeah, I took video of them, but because they are minors, the quartet was 12 to 14, and the trio I think was 10 or 11, maybe like 11 to 13 or 14. I think the pianist was a little older, but the two-string players are young and very small for their age, so I am also very bad at telling how old children are. But yeah, they're very young and very mature for their age. They played so wonderfully. But I don't want to post a video of minors without their parents' consent, so you'll just have to take my word that they were great. I found, here's a little nugget of info right at the end here. I found that if you just treat children as your equal, that they respond a lot better than if you are trying to teach a young child something. Like, it's a different mentality for the way that you speak, the pitch at which you speak, the ways in which you phrase things, trying to get an idea across to them. If you just talk to them kind of adult to adult, even if they're 10 years old, they respond a lot better than if you try to like coddle a child, sort of. So I found that with these kids, especially today in the chamber music setting, but also with in private lessons when I've substitute taught for friends of mine, they're young kids, and also in the school groups that I work with. I find that their teachers aren't pushing them the way that I would. I push these kids to be the best that they can be, and I treat them like I would, my peers, as if they were people my age, and they respond way better to that. If I set the bar really high, they want to get up there. But if you set the bar low and you're like, "Yeah, you can play it at tempo, good job, like, let's make these notes a little shorter and these ones a little longer," they're like, "Okay, I get it, we'll make those ones shorter and these ones longer." They check out. They don't like being told what to do and not having something great to strive for. So if I show them, if I demonstrate on violin something, a certain fingering or a certain little phrasing or a stroke that I want them to do. And of course, I'm not dumbing it down for these kids. I'm doing exactly what I would as a professional playing that piece. And they take that and they try to emulate it. They don't have the full set of skills that I do. I almost said like set of knives to pick from or set of paints to choose from, the full palette of colors yet. But if you just show them something like the ideal to strive for, like the number one tippity top thing that they want to go for, they will do what they can to get that sound, as opposed to just saying louder, softer, louder, softer. Like, if you push them, they will take it and they will drive themselves to be even better. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think teachers are not hard enough on their kids. And I'm hearing that as like a discipline thing. A little sidebar, I digress. That people are saying that like parents don't discipline their kids enough, they're not hard enough on their kids. That's not what I'm saying. Like, as like, we don't need to be like mean to them in the classroom, but if you push them, if you give them a higher goal to achieve, then they will work harder to achieve that goal. Whereas if you set the bar down here and you say, hey, jump over this bar, and they can just step over it, they will. But if you set it just high enough where they have to work a little bit, that sparks something in them, and then they'll want to continue working. Because if you get them to do something just a little bit different and they like it, then they're on track. They're turned on to the idea of getting better. And the one thing that just opened up these girls' eyes this morning was teaching them how to play a triple stop, a 3-note chord, without rolling it, because somehow nobody had gone over that. I guess because they thought that it was too advanced a technique for the girls to be able to do. But even the cellist was doing it, and she doesn't even have a 3-note chord. Like, she was like, ooh, I want to do it too. And she found the D, G, and B, D, B, G, G major chord on her cello, and she was doing this exercise with us, and it sounded phenomenal. And I was just like, how is this a thing that their coaches, the masterclass people, didn't talk about? But when I said, here's the trick, and they tried it, they went, whoa, it sounds so good, my violin is still vibrating, like it's still resonating. And they were just so excited. That was like the first thing I did with them. We did a little G major scale, and we worked on how to play a 3-note chord, and that set them up for success today. They were so excited to work. So yeah, I think that you should always try to give kids a challenge, and never think that they're too young or incapable of learning something. Like, teaching them to play a 3-note chord was so easy, and they loved it, and they immediately sounded so much better on that opening, rather than trying to scratch through, doing rolling the chord together. It immediately sounded so much better, and they liked it because they knew that it sounded better that way, and nobody had told them how to make it sound better. So that was just a little thing. So teach your kids professional techniques. Just go ahead, teach them advanced techniques early on, and I think it's way better to teach them the advanced techniques early and then refine those techniques as they get better, rather than to teach them kind of a band-aid way of doing something. Like, oh yeah, this is how we do spiccato, and they're like flat hair or something like that, and just kind of whacking the bow against the string, which, yeah, it's bouncy, but it's really pecky and it's bad. And then later you'll say, oh, this is how we play spiccato, turned over on the side and much more brushy, and they're like, but that's not how. And I also I hate it because she's my boss, but I absolutely disagree with using more bow for forte. Like, if you tell kids to use whole bows on forte quarter notes, it doesn't make more sound. It makes them look ridiculous, and they are not capable of using whole bows and keeping the bow engaged the whole time. So you're just going to get a whole bunch of airy, scratchy noises. And if you just teach them how to do a compact forte from the beginning, just like engage the string and pull the bow, but don't use the whole bow. Like, just stay engaged with the string the whole time. They get it, and they do it, and it's fine. So sorry, that's just a pet peeve that comes up all the time in youth symphony, and I can't even do whole bows at some of the tempos that she takes. Like, as an orchestra assistant, I'm supposed to be demonstrating what she wants the kids to do, and so I sit there and I'm playing along with them, like side by side with the students, and I'm supposed to be following all the directions that she gives, and I can't keep a good consistent tone when I'm supposed to be doing super fast bows on forte sections, because it's just not possible. It's not attainable. Even with somebody of my training, definitely not somebody who's only been playing for a year and a half. So anyway, I'm going to stop now because I need to go make dinner, and yeah, so you're going to start getting lap video again this week, because Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are LA days. I will be teaching all day on Tuesday and likely not go to orchestra in that evening, even though I didn't go to orchestra last week either. I think I would rather have the evening to practice a little bit or just rest if I need it, before I continue with LA for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5 straight days. Yeah, so the next few videos will be just taken from my lap in the middle of rehearsal, and I will be sure to upload them like directly from my phone onto my computer instead of trying to grab them off of Google Cloud, because for some reason that just doesn't work. It's really annoying. So anyway, I will see you tomorrow with absolutely no introduction, because I probably won't care to make an introduction portion to the video. I'll just write whatever the heck we're playing in the description bar if you care, but like nobody's watching these anymore, so it doesn't matter. I'll see you tomorrow anyway.